conversation with everybody. Um, I like to touch base and sort of make sure everybody's still on the same page with stuff. This is less about story direction and more about delivery systems. So since we started the Wandering Oasis area, I've been experimenting on one axis, and on another axis been trying to attempt to adhere to some feedback. The feedback I was given is that sometimes I do not offer enough player agency. Like sometimes the story is given to you as a here's the plot, follow the plot, with an abundance of side quests, optional stuff that you guys tend to do. Um, this was an experiment in what would happen if I sort of just gave you guys story threads to explore on your own and didn't really do anything in terms of directing or offering a more on rails type of adventure. And it happened with me also, like, we haven't done any of the lore documents that I was doing, like Surviving the Sands. I wanted any of the lore stuff that you guys learned to be something that you uncovered by talking to NPCs or by exploring the world. And I've only really talked to Megan about this, and I got some pretty negative feedback from her that this, like, the last 12 to 15 sessions in the Wandering Oasis has not been like a lot of fun, because she felt like there was a lack of direction and a lack of like a lack of clarity in terms of like what my expectations were of you as the players, and not really knowing anything. And I feel like, so I guess first question to all of you is, what are your thoughts on the last 12 to 15 sessions in terms of me sort of like taking my hand off the wheel a little bit and letting you guys steer it, and also not providing lore documents on a weekly basis like I had been, which I felt like was sort of like it helped to steer you guys and also sort of give you the what the monster of the week was going to be, or like obviously here's something you have to focus on because I'm writing a little paper about it. But when you guys were left to explore the world on your own, what were your thoughts and experiences the last 3 months?
Did you feel we were actually hitting some of the marks you were looking for?
Thank you. That is exactly why because it would start with him being like, wow, you guys totally missed this giant story thread. And I'd be like, why didn't you tell us to just go that way? We were missing it. Yeah, we were missing it.
Yeah. Honestly, from my point of view, I didn't really. I enjoy all that extra stuff as well, but honestly, it's just been fun just letting us go wild personally. just because for part of it, it's when we have a week or two in between where we don't have everything, is where the extra material does come in handy. But yeah, it's been solid. I've been enjoying myself.
Okay.
It's definitely been different. There have been a couple times where I'm like, Mark the human is like can suss something out, but Hoppy definitely couldn't, so I'm not gonna talk about it. And so there's been a little bit of that, and so I've kind of it's been a little more frustrating for me, just because of the character I'm playing, and and
sometimes roleplay there.
Well, yeah, and sometimes it feels like sometimes it did feel like we didn't. Yeah, we knew there was this problem with the people, but there wasn't a direct path to figuring it out, and so that was not like it was. There seemed to be a few places where it was like, okay, I don't know where to go, so we've got 7 options. Let's figure out one of them, and so. And I feel like we missed stuff, but it's probably okay because we, we did lots of stuff, and we, covered a lot of ground, and we eventually figured out the problem, and so
just not
anyway.
as quick before, like we were before. That's all.
Well, yeah,
I think
it's definitely taken us away from the murder hobo method of playing, so that's been nice. I mean, we're still murder hobos, but we have to think about it now.
I think for me, not having put the puzzle pieces together, that John just took his hands off the wheel and feeling a little bit lost over the last, however many sessions, but not really being able to put like my thumb on it. because I've had that since, but I think the thing that was a little disorienting was going from being a little bit more on rails or to then just being like full on, choose your own adventure with no,
I was like, "Fuck you guys," reading it
yeah,
anyway.
going from one extreme to the other without
Heads up.
a heads up. It was a little odd. I mean, I think we did well enough with I think we wandered a lot, but it's the Wandering Oasis, so that's
It works.
It's right there in the name. Yeah.
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 I didn't want to tell you guys ahead of time that was my intention because I feel like I was worried it would skew the results. So I thought if we just kind of just changed and let you do what you wanted to do.
We need to hear from Michelle.
Yeah. That's a good point. No, I agree.
Okay, I'm sorry, I lost comms for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
Okay, it was very obvious to me, having played with John for so long, that he was like in a whole like, fuck you guys. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. We have no direction. And I personally really loved us having to work together. It's very clear to me that as a group, we're very bad at working together.
Oh, we had training wheels for so long.
So I kind of was, first of all, I was sick for some of the sessions, and I was like, fuck this. Have fun, kids. But it was very obvious to me that, like, John was letting us just fucking play, and we're very bad at playing.
But it was fun.
It was, but, like, honestly, there were some decisions that we made that I wanted to, like, pull my hair out about. Like, I was not happy, but I'm like, okay. Yeah, let's just keep unburying bodies. This seems so fucking stupid, but yeah, great, cool. I think that maybe there's an in between that would be cool, like because we're so bad at working together as a group, and I don't know what that is. Like maybe there's a way that we get every now and then a scroll that's like, hey dumbasses, here's some information that's all together for you. But I do like it. I do kind of like the chaos of it. It's fun to see what other people think is important and is not. And it's also fun to just I liked it. But I do hear you, Meg. There were a few sessions where I was like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to put puzzles together that we didn't know where the pieces were. That's just kind of how life is.
I agree.
Well,
I liked it. I just think there maybe is an in-between where sometimes we get a scroll that's like, hey, dumbasses.
When we're being extra stupid, you're saying?
I mean, there were some things where I felt like we're just walking around the pole.
Uh-huh.
But I also didn't have solutions where I was like, I feel like we need to go back 6 sessions and do this thing that we totally didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in the woods and there's no way to get back there. So, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's fun for me because the two things I like most about storytelling is I get to create not to pat myself on the back. I get to create a story that I enjoy, right? Like what I think is like a compelling narrative that at least has one of you like, wow, that was pretty cool. Maybe not everybody, and maybe not everybody all the time, but at least one of you some of the time is like, that's pretty neat. That's not that was fun. And
I had several of those.
My favorite thing is when I subvert my own expectations by improvising something with you guys where I've said it before, like I will have written 8 pages on exactly what the next 6 weeks looks like and like how these 4 people interact with this one major story element, and then like
kill the guy off.
Zach will kill somebody,
totally
or
ignore them and never go back to that village.
Or Mark will be like, "Oh, that's because these guys are all part of the same underground because the Blacklight Torch made the symbol loop," and I go, absolutely that's the case, 100%. That's exactly what I wrote right here. Let me just change this really quick. And like, because like what you guys come up with as a team is better than what I wrote, so we get to sort of like improv that and move forward with that idea. The only problem I was sort of having, like around episode 55-ish, was we were sort of veering off of a story plot that I was really into. Like I wanted to tell this story, and you guys were just not having it. Like I tried like 3 different hooks to get you onto this story, and you weren't interested. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time to like check my ego and just be like, let's try 15 sessions, 20 sessions, however long it takes, in the Wandering Oasis, where I'm not directing them at all, and just see if they have as much fun, less fun, or more fun, kind of writing their own story. And so I guess like
I would love to know that story that we missed.
It's the memory wiping thing where people
Yes!
don't know.
I finally sold.
He was like, I really expected this to be a big deal.
I
And I was
don't
like,
care.
we went and talked to
I
the
like-
lady, and we got nowhere. Where were we supposed to go after that?
I don't
Yeah, that-
know, but I was like, nobody cares about this? Okay.
Well, we figured as we were going to find some kind of clue. Like, that's me anyway. I thought I was like looking for some stuff
Yeah,
and
but
just.
then we went further and further away from like
Mhm.
the upper echelon where we were clearly supposed to go. And I'm like, all right, we're in the fucking woods. Cool. Like,
Well,
Apparently
every time
we
we got up higher, we kept getting like the smack on the nose because we kept getting run into the main people. Like, okay, he's not wanting us to do
when
this
have we ever
part
cared
right
about
now.
being smacked on the nose? When did that ever steer us? Okay, wait, was that where we were supposed to go, John? Hold on, I need to know.
So like I it's not fair because like I tend to write things now and just like my session notes are usually like, session 69, nice, and then like potential objectives.
Cool.
Like here are things that I would like to accomplish. Here are things I think the players like to accomplish. Here's a potential secret or lore bit that they haven't discovered yet that could be discovered in this segment. Here are the list of NPCs that they'll interact with. Here are some potential combat encounters, and like that's kind of how I've started doing outlines for this game because like you guys have at least the immense potential of just going hard right into tangent land, and I embrace that. I love that about this group, especially. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, especially as the DM. But like I sometimes I feel like I'm smart enough, or I know each of you well enough to sort of like anticipate what you will or will not latch onto, or like if I give you a left and right signpost option, sometimes like the way I've described it, I have baited the trap a little bit. Like I'm confident you're going to go left because of how I've described it or what appears to be down the left path, and most of the time that works. Every once in a while I'll be like, they're for sure going to go left here because everything they're into, it's like, I know Caleb's into werewolves and I just talked about how there's werewolves to the left, and then like he'll just stand up and go, we're going right. Fuck, okay, we're going right, I guess. I'm not picking on anybody, but like I was expecting the hard turn when we very first left Sanctuary, describing the dark path to the north, to be
Yes.
a thing you guys were going to latch onto.
Yes.
Like that, it seemed like that was a given, right? I didn't even have to consider what was down the right path because we were for sure going left, and we did not. And left is where we were going to encounter what we just did the last 2 sessions was supposed to be 11 weeks ago.
Yes.
So like in my mind there's like, I had these linear series of events, and so it's been weird like bouncing around and finding different elements of it and trying to keep my world map consistent with what you've discovered versus what you absolutely have not discovered. That's been a lot of fun. So the summation of all of this is having played it both ways now, where I give you sort of like lore documents that are pertaining to everything that we're going to be doing in the next couple of sessions, offering you more like a decision tree of adventure versus the incredibly fishbowl-y, you guys are on your own to figure this shit out. Is there anybody who enjoys the last 15 weeks much more than the way we've been running the campaign before? Is there anybody that really didn't enjoy this fishbowl style of free play so much that they really prefer the other style? Or are you somewhere in the middle where you liked having a bit of autonomy, but in some of the sessions where we sort of dragged down and I as the DM was a little more silent because I didn't want to nudge you in a direction, you sort of wish there was like a nudge every once in a while in the form of a flash fiction lore document, or in a super knowledgeable NPC that just happened to give you sage advice to push you in a direction.
Option 3, overall. Honestly, I
Yeah.
liked a lot of the freedom of it. I didn't feel like I was being force-fed it, which was,
Yeah.
it's the fun of the. That's honestly how I've always played. So it was like back to my own roots and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that's cool. And seeing the look on the DM's face when we completely go off rails is hilarious. But yeah,
I've never played
option
that
3.
way. I've never played that way, as you know, John, and I personally, I liked it. I was like, okay, because there was times where I was like, oh, I hate the decision that we just did, but I'm just gonna be quiet and let everyone do whatever the hell they want to do. I did not know what was going on for a lot of the time. I was like, I am so lost. How have we ended up here? But I wouldn't have been upset if you had gotten us back on the rails at some point. So I guess 3, somewhere in between.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of number 3 too. I think sometimes it's helpful to have, and I think it could be like this has worked for the Wandering Oasis because the Wandering Oasis was supposed to be this brand new world that we knew nothing about. So having to discover everything worked well with this setting. If we go back to Geb and we've lived there our whole lives, we know what is supposed to be happening.
There you go.
We don't we should have more directed things. And even if we're in a situation where we don't necessarily know anything, we would know the customs and mores of the community. Here we just don't know that. So I would say that this kind of this approach worked really well in this realm. I don't necessarily always want to play this way because it does, like Renan said, where I get lost a lot, and especially since I haven't been feeling well for like the whole time we've been in the Wandering Oasis. It's been a struggle to remember these things. So anyway, that's
the nice thing. The Oasis was like an intentional area to happen because if I decide to just go completely hands off the wheel and let you guys do your own thing, there's a world where like you steer into dangerous waters that need some help back. So like the Oasis was a physical location appropriate to that, where like you're locked in, right? There is a literal boundary where you can't leave. So there's only so much trouble you could really get yourselves into.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would also say that, regardless of the side quests and stuff, we did have a primary quest here, which was getting the snuggle plant.
Snuggle plant.
I have those. Getting to meet with her. I don't even remember why we were trying to meet with her.
That's my only concern.
Yeah, I mean, we were.
When I do lore stuff sort of on rails and give you guys frequent updates, and you have a very clear quest log, like I feel like the story elements that I'm trying to tell are easier to adhere to and easier to remember. When we do 15 weeks of whatever the fuck you want, it is disheartening as a DM to be like, okay, and why are we here? And to get 5 blank stares of, I don't remember.
We started with needing to go to a temple. Like there was a thing in a temple.
The artifact. Yes.
Yeah, and then we needed to.
And then all of a sudden the temple didn't matter, and then we really needed to know why people were losing their memory. And then I don't know what happened after that. I was like, I no longer know why we're here or what we're doing.
I haven't heard from Megan or Caleb yet about like a
you've
preference.
heard from Meg. You've heard from Meg.
Well, I'd like her to be able to share her opinions publicly.
Go ahead, Caleb. Oh, he's away. So I would prefer, like, I like having a little bit of flexibility, but I prefer more rails. But I'm also totally comfortable playing in an environment where, as long as you guys know my style as a player, like, I don't know, I have to micromanage a lot of things for work and like be a creative problem solver all the time, and like I don't really want to do that with my free time. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would be happy not being like the leader and trying to come up with ideas and following along and helping to facilitate that as Oni, but that my biggest frustration is like so what prompted this conversation was Oni totally botching the interaction with that security group that found us, and we didn't search the catacombs. And he's like, why didn't you guys search the catacombs? And I was like, if you wanted us to search the catacombs, you should have just said, you guys are now going to search the catacombs. So that's why we kind of rewound.
The reason the catacombs was the alarm was going off, and we knew they were coming in, so we figured it'd be good to get out. Go up to, we were down below, so get up out. Prep, that was my mentality anyway.
Right. So, I mean, we played it the way we did, and I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why we kind of went back a little bit, because there were things that we needed to discover in order to advance the story. But, that's my thing. Like, if there's something that we have to do that we're just not doing, then he needs to tell us so that we can do those things and move on. I don't want to just, like, keep spinning our wheels. But I'm just,
in a sense, I think he kind of was able to make it.
So I don't want to overthink it too much.
Well, see, that's where I think he did kind of help make it happen, though. Let's check the catacombs, because security came in and kind of pushed us into that way. I mean, we were kind of
was trying to nudge.
Yeah, honestly, it was the nudge we kind of needed in that, and it was light enough. I think that kind of DMing is a-okay. Yeah, just like, hey, okay, you guys are leaving the area. I need you here. That's why I'm going to put
like,
so
well, fuck it,
many
I'm just going to kill everybody.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Whoops.
I know,
I think there's got to be a middle ground. Sheila, what are your thoughts?
Hungry.
Get body slammed.
Zeke is
Sorry, I
hungry.
was changing a diaper. Yeah, I like option 3. I think we had a little bit too much freedom in the last, however many sessions, and the sessions where we were getting, a lore dump that we can read ahead of time is a little maybe too on rails. It's like, this is exactly what you're dealing with and how to defeat it. I mean, not quite, but it seems like something in the middle definitely feels a little better. Dad running behind the kid with the bike, not on training wheels, just to give a little nudge here and there, keep him out of traffic.
Can I make a possible suggestion?
Sure, please.
Nope.
So what may have helped us attune to important things in your story is if you provided the recap at the beginning of the session. If we're going off the rails, you can kind of bring us back to things that may have been important in the previous session, and that would kind of give us a little bit of maybe direction, maybe just and I don't know, maybe it wouldn't work, but
if you remember before the Wandering Oasis, I used to take you guys page by page through all of the slides or scenes that we had seen, and I haven't been doing that the last 12 weeks as part of my. I wanted the recap to always sort of be done by you guys, because if I insinuate my knowledge, then it's tantamount to me telling you what's important. And what you're saying, I think, is that if I do that, you guys, if you hear my version of the retelling, you will be able to assimilate what I think the important parts are. And that, moving forward, I think that's a fine idea. I deliberately avoided doing that in this experiment just because I wanted to hear what you guys thought was important. And then the critical element of this guy's brain has been sucked out took 7 or 8 weeks to really become important in your internal narrative of for me that would have been episode 1 most important recap thing, but for you guys it was a glancing bit of minutia, which was interesting. It's always fun to sort of I tell a story because I know all of the things, and what you guys latch onto is a portion of what I've told, combined with several things I never said, and that becomes your Bible, and that's fun. That's just a blast.
For this brain sucking thing, I was expecting us to run into that monster sooner than we did. honestly.
Yeah,
Had
me
we
too.
gone down the other path, we would have found it very quickly.
Me too. Hard same.
But on the other hand, that made that whole quest much more epic because for 10 weeks we're like, what the fuck is going on with these guys? And so there was some
It was a bigger
benefit.
delivery.
Yeah, there was definitely some benefit of doing this in this way, and so anyway, it's kind of thinking back about everything that we did, I really kind of like how we tied that thing up.
And that's where I also got to give Hoppy credit for playing the Hoppy character all the way, and you jumping up on the plinth. Like, yep, this is exactly where they're going, and that's inspiration token nomination there, by the way, for last week.
Well, I don't want to lose our whole session in my
Meta.
Yeah. I think we'll probably play out the rest of the Wandering Oasis kind of the way we've been running it, and I'll work on what I think a version of the happy medium will be.
And just make sure we don't go too far off course. If
allowing for as much player agency as I think you guys can comfortably enjoy. But if we end up with one of those 60 minutes of literal I don't know, what do you want to do? That's maybe at some point just before that 60-minute mark of /shrug. I don't know, what do you want to do? I can nudge a little bit in at least a direction, if not my direction.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Seem fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good in between.
Okie doke. Jumping back into it then, who remembers what we did well enough to recap for a previously on Dungeons and Dragons?
Isn't here, so I have no idea.
Brennan should do it.
We started off the last session being talking to the police. Oni was gonna kill them all, but decided against it. We talked them out of it. They had us search the different passages in this crypt. We went to the south first. South was something cold, I think.
Earth. There's all the spikes in the hallway.
That's right. Earth, and east was fire. North was
west was fire. East was where we
there
you go.
Yeah, and then west was fire. Then we went north, and we went east last. The giant pile of bodies probably should have told us that there was something over there, but player and Hoppy was trying to communicate with everybody, but he doesn't speak common, so he was trying to pantomime everything, and he got on a plinth, and everybody, or some of the people in the group, forgot me. And then once we then we showed this to the leader of the police by putting one of his dudes on there, and everybody forgot him, and then we dispelled it, and everybody remembered him. So and now we went to meet with the person in charge, and I don't remember her name. I'm sorry.
Lillipillipi.
Lillipillipi.
There you go.
Yes.
The
And she
highest
doesn't
of the
look
regions.
like a funky fish person.
Yes, which is extra.
Even though she is a fun
A
fish
weirdly
person.
pretty, skinny fish person.
Yes.
I will jump in with just 2 bits of potentially salient information for Michelle's sake. First is that the High Regent's office is one of 3 floating pyramids that sit above the Moon Gate, which is the top rise of the Wandering Oasis. And you guys were summoned up there by a floating lodestone pedestal, sort of like the one that took you to the elevated Druid City. The other floating pyramid here is the Temple of Khonshu, which is yellow exclamation point, the purpose of our being here. And in the basement, we found each hallway terminated in a statue of some bizarre tentacle-looking eldritch horror.
With the name carved off.
Their names had all been carved off, save the one to the east that was on the side with the pile of corpses seemingly remained intact. No statue on it, however, an empty stone plinth. But the name on it was Otuyug. And
Do we
on
have
the plinth,
a visual
Draco
of this?
of what?
Tuyug's
No,
section.
Yeah.
its statue is absent, and you have no idea what it would look like. But based on everything else in the room, probably a tentacle something.
Mm-hmm.
A brain sucker.
Draco found, using detect magic, that there was a small mote of residual energy present on the stone plinth itself. That's what was causing anybody placed on the stone plinth basically disappears from memory.
Okay.
They sussed that out through trial and error, and then notably Draco cast an exceptionally powerful dispel magic effect on that mote, which
It's pretty awesome.
shattered its effect and then sent like a burning fuse effect off of the altar and through the wall, following like a magical unseen path to everybody except
Okay.
Draco.
May
So,
I ask a question?
Yeah.
So not everyone that was forgotten was dead.
Only through our trial and error. Our trial and error, like, we walked in there, the guards saw Hoppy, then Hoppy jumped on the plinth, and then whenever we came back out, the guard did not remember Hoppy whatsoever. And so it's like, what the fuck? And then we told him, put one of your guards on here and we'll prove that that's what this is. And so it did that, and he didn't remember except for one person in the group. Then once I dispelled it, we had them go through the bodies that were in the hallway there, and that's whenever they actually really believed us, because they saw all loved ones and friends and family dead.
Yeah, but
And
I
they're,
guess
like,
Still
freaking out.
dead.
that's a good
I'm
point.
confused.
Because the
We
Was
don't.
there a correlation between dead and plinth?
I think there technically could be two things, but the people were grabbed, they were killed, then they were put on the plinth.
We were
Would
forgotten.
probably
but there could
to be
be
So no one would be
Yeah.
looking.
that haven't been killed yet because we met that one lady's son who everybody else had forgotten, but he was alive.
That's true.
That's true.
So there could
We
be.
gotta figure out how he got on there.
Yeah.
He died, right? Or we went back there and he's
He
gone.
was gone.
So we won't be able to ask questions like, were you ever on a plinth with a scary tentacle monster?
Right. We have to recap to the best of my ability without giving anything away. Everybody that's dead seems to have at some point been placed on the plinth to have the memory of their existence removed from the Wandering Oasis, such
Okay.
that the guards looked at that pile of corpses, didn't recognize anybody. After Draco dispelled the magic on the stone plinth, they had
They
this
recognized
like
it.
reckoning of, oh my god, these are all of my friends and families and neighbors, and there was this
That's right.
tearful shock of terror that these corpses that they didn't recognize a moment ago are now suddenly dearest friends.
So we
So-
don't know yet.
There
We
is
have not-
also people who you guys know have been forgotten from communal memory that are not in either pile of corpses you found so far. So there's either
Right.
a third pile of corpses somewhere, or they're not dead, or
People to rescue
Question.
somewhere.
But weren't there twins? Let's go back. There was like brothers,
Mhm.
one from outside, one from inside. Everyone was still alive,
Mhm.
and they did not remember. The mom and the brother did not remember the twin.
Yeah.
Mato and
That's
Nato.
one we gotta figure out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mato and Nato. And
Mato
There
is
we go.
is the guild artisan. He's been walking you around. Nato disappeared, if you recall. We no
Yeah.
longer
Yes.
we don't know where Nato is, and no one has put eyes on Mato in several sessions.
And we just forgot about him. Oh, cool.
Oh, he clearly goes on the plinth.
Literally
sometimes.
in a non-meta way, it's working.
Well, we did look for him when we went back to the village, but he wasn't there, and no one knew who he was or where he went.
And
Yes,
that
they were
was
like
the
that.
brother that was in. That was not the brother from the outside. That was the one that was there with the mom. Correct?
No.
No.
Mato
the
is the
brother-
artisan that lives in the
The
Oasis.
brother from the outside was the one that we looked for when we went to that village.
yes,
Okay,
but he's
So the one
disappeared.
from the outside disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Michelle's correct.
Yes.
Okay. It's very confusing when we have Otto and Nato. I don't know.
I was gonna call him
Billy
Daryl
and
and his
Bob.
other brother Daryl.
I'm
That would
not
be good.
smart enough for this shit. Okay.
Yes. So Draco killed the dispelled magic on it, burning ember effect leading somewhere off map, restored memory to a lot of people. It seemed that the moat he destroyed was certainly empowering the device to allow people, whoever was disposing of these bodies, to place the bodies one at a time and have them essentially removed from communal memory. The only other thing that he gleaned from that is that this small mote of energy was a remnant of a much greater power, that something placed this here intentionally as a very small portion of its innate ability to, manipulate thought and memory.
Which
There's
is
a world
scary.
where
Like, I'm scared.
there's a world where other people who have been removed from memory weren't necessarily placed on this plinth. This just seems like a cool tool in service of the same goal. It's not necessarily the only way that it happened or the primary way that it happened, just a way that memory has been removed.
Hint, nudge, nudge, gotcha.
Rux, the city captain, decided that because he felt so betrayed by his own memories and that something much larger is afoot, granted or communicated with the ruling council of the city to have an emergency council session to grant you an audience with High Regent Lillipillipi. And that's where we ended the session, is you guys being placed before the High Regent here, who, as described, has a very sleek, very slender, very svelte humanoid appearance. She has gentle gill slits down her neck and has like a soft blue, almost translucent skin. You can kind of vaguely see internal organelles through her skin, and her skin always appears wet, but has high pointed elven ears and gold tattoos and gold eyeshadow. She looks, like sort of like a Cleopatra mixed with a blue elf, far, far removed from anything you've seen from the Kuatoan civilization before. There's something about her that is
Not Kuatoan.
At face value, very different. And that's where we pick it up. You guys are marched into this large audience chamber that has.
Before we do that, we didn't give inspiration for last week.
Good catch.
Like I said, I nominate Hoppe.
I like that.
Okay.
Hoppe.
The only other one I would suggest is we wouldn't have been able to fix that or stop that if Draco didn't cast the spell. So
Take it, Hoppe.
all right, okay, I'll take it.
Good job dispelling magic. What a simple spell.
With long-lasting effects, you're welcome.
I was being genuine.
Marched into this chamber, there's that sort of infinite waterfall, water cascading down into pools that feed the waterfalls. It sort of smells like an Olympic swimming pool. You get that sort of just moist, almost dewy, sort of thick air sensation as you walk into this chamber. It doesn't smell unclean, but just very moist. A word I know no one appreciates.
I was like, please stop saying that word. Ugh.
Excuse me while I moisten my lips.
Ew, stop.
Yes. There is a small retinue of advisors that flank High Regent Lillipillipi at the top of the stairs on either side of her throne chair. At the base of the set of stairs, there are two enormous Kuatoan bodyguards. And waiting in the wings to the left and the right, like you can hear the rank and file shifting about, probably like Queen's Guard or some kind of, protectors. They're being kept out of sight either as like a polite non-display of intimidation or they've cleared the audience chambers because she doesn't want them to hear about it. But like you can just hear the sounds of dozens of armored guards, like, in the VOMs off to the side. He remains seated and silent as you approach. I would have had several minutes to prepare for this encounter, both on the lodestone elevator ride up and waiting for her to fill this chamber. So if there's any last-minute conversations you want to have as players between each other or any last-minute preparations, because we're sort of jumping into this hot, you would have had, as much as 5 to 10 minutes to do some kind of conversing or preparation if you want to take that time now.
I'm gonna cast guidance on myself for my next roll.
Basically, security guard dude's going, or the guard dude's going to basically introduce us, and I figure he's going to take the lead in the beginning of this, right?
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, because we definitely shouldn't
Poppy
talk before we're talking to.
Poppy is still trying to like gesticulate and communicate with you guys, but yeah. So when we go in there, Poppy's gonna start talking to the queen to see if she understands him.
Draco, can you dispel magic on Hoppy?
I don't want to do that with all the gear he's got on.
I'm not sure it's a magical effect.
You think you just got dumb?
Well, it could be. I don't know.
Renin or Oni, any preps? If not, I'll move forward.
So, yes. What do I want to do? I would like to, while everyone else is sort of going to try and talk to the Queen Regency, I'd kind of like to just sneak around, if I can, of course. Am I muted? Can you hear me?
No,
You are not
we hear
muted. The throne room is very limiting. The approach to the stairs is flanked on either side by those large pools. The only two alcoves to the left and the right is where you can hear like the mustering of troops. Otherwise, the bodyguards prevent a pretty much impermeable membrane all the way up the stairs to the High Regent. You could go out the way you just came in, but that would take you out of this audience chamber.
Okay, so I can't really do anything.
There's not a lot to explore, and there's very few places to hide.
Okay, then I'm gonna go cocky bitch. And I'm gonna just go and like kind of sit somewhere and act completely uninterested in this chick. So she immediately hates me. You're welcome.
Perfect. Oni, anything from you?
I don't think so. I'm just going to observe.
Once everybody is ushered in, one of her attendants waves a shiny bracelet on his arm back and forth. This bangle that sort of catches the torchlight and reflects heavily is like a signal to somebody in the very rear of the chamber to close these chamber doors, and you can hear them thunk with a heavy wooden slam. You're now sort of cut off, it feels like, more than you've ever felt in the Oasis from everything that's outside of this room. The doors were so heavy, like you could hear the hustle and bustle of the wandering Oasis below you with the doors open, and there's just the echoing sound of waterfalls and pools here now, like the entire world has been shut out.
Oh,
there's a uncomfortable moment of silence before she whispers something to the other attendant, who, in a raspy fish voice that sounds like a fish gulping for air, orders Rux forward. He speaks, "You've demanded an emergency meeting with our High Regent. Why? What bears such urgency?" Rux stammers to find the words to explain he's still, I hate to use the word traumatized, but it may be appropriate here.
Reeling.
Yeah, from the emotional experience of discovering friends, family, and community members in the room dead that he, until the moment Draco dispelled them, didn't even remember existed. So he's dealing with a number of emotional difficulties, let's call them. He tries... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, seeing that he's struggling, I'll be like, it's okay, Ruxy, let me take it from here. And then
he demurs, but yeah, looks to you to step in.
And then I stand up and I look at her and I go, "Hi, I don't think we formally met. I'm Renin of Alea's Flame." And then just do like, not a curtsy, but a full bow.
Ooh, a deep bow, love it.
And I'll be like, "You've seen me before, right? Because we have been in each other's presence multiple times."
The Regent nods, and both of her advisors speak, saying, "Yes, you are known to us."
Yes, and I'll say, "Oh, good. So you remember me. You have a memory of me."
Her
And just
eyes like narrow, looking at you, sort of like it. She understands you're insinuating or suggesting something, but is either playing coy or has no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, and I'll be like, "Because memory seems to be something that your beautiful oasis has, like, just loses. Nobody knows anything here. It's just been so much fun for us as visitors."
Not.
And then I'll just
Go ahead.
and I'll be like, "The reason why whatever his name, what's his name? Hux?
Rocks.
Rux.
Ruxy over here is so perplexed is because he's just found all of his loved ones in a dead pile. Can anyone explain to us what in the fuck is going on in your oasis? What is their, I'm sorry, no meta. What's their ethnicity? What are they?
They are
Fish
Kuatoan.
people? I'll be like, "Oh, mighty Kuatoan." I'm such a bitch. I love me.
She, through her two advisors again, she seems to either think thoughts that they speak, or is very, like, through subtle gesture and gentle whisper, able to communicate what she wants them to speak. So far, you've not heard her voice, but they ask you to elaborate on what you've found and where you found it and why you think that this rises to a matter that needs to be held in the court of the High Regent. Lillipillipi is
Oh.
busy dealing with matters of state.
Yeah, it's quite a story, Philippi, whatever your freaking name is. What makes you think that I'm going to tell you? I have no reason to trust you. Right now, I know that in your city, people are going missing. No one is remembering them and winding up dead. Under your watch. So here I am at your feet groveling. Why should I trust you?
Not really groveling.
Exactly. That's my point.
The two advisors say you've no choice but to trust our Queen Regent. You live in her city. You stand in her throne room. If you do not trust her, you're free to leave at any time.
And I'm just going to start walking away.
Rux looks like was hoping that was going to go maybe a different way, or is hoping that this is part of a larger plan you have. But he tries to step in, stumbling for words. There are so many dead, Regent. I need to understand how this came to be.
Poppy's going to step up and start gesticulating and trying to communicate and explaining that we've just found a monster in the basement and we want to help out and they're over there. They're over there, down there, around the corner, and just like communicating and gesticulating wildly.
The two bodyguards like basically draw steel. Like they are concerned that you are just a raging berserker. Like you're not saying words they understand, and you're making all kinds of wild motions and actions.
Huh?
One of the advisors looks at Rux and the rest of you beyond Rux and asks, please, to control your beast. Poppy, while you're making these attempts to communicate with people who just, for some reason, are all stupid, you hear a very gentle sound in the back of your mind that seems to grow just slightly louder with each passing second, and every time you start to talk, it becomes a little bit more distracting. It sort of sounds like running water. Like at first it's just a tiny trickle of a faucet, but now that you're 15, 20 seconds into you're trying to describe where the monsters were, it sounds like a rushing torrent of a stream, enough that like it's hard for you to even hear your own words sometimes. And then it like as quickly as it grew to that crescendo, it just stops abruptly, and you can hear in your mind, this has happened to you a few times now since you've come to the Wandering Oasis, you can hear a gentle, soft, feminine voice ask if she might see what you have seen.
Maybe. I don't know.
It reminds you of
Can-
like the way your mother
you
might have talked to you as a child, or the way a school teacher talked to you as an adolescent. It's this very caring, very nurturing tone, but asks if you would be willing to share your memories with her.
I cover my eyes. I don't want to scare you.
He tells you to fear not. You are in a safe place, and nothing can harm you here.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
he externally, Regent Lillipilli, out of nowhere during Rux's discussion about the enormity of the crimes that have been committed here, she stands up, and that makes everybody else in the room that knows her fall instantly silent. And she gestures softly with an outstretched, 3 fingers towards Hoppy, who's gesticulating wildly, and Hoppy just starts taking it down like 11 notches. Instead of speaking loudly and instead of making grandiose gestures, his hands just fall limply at his sides, and he gently, softly, in the most small strides you've ever seen Hoppy take, very small steps towards the retinue of guards, looking, it looks like to your perspective, to ascend the stairs towards the High Regent.
What are you guys? What are you doing? Hoppy, get back down here.
I'm
Hoppy, Draco looks at you and wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 wah.
I'm gonna gesticulate to him that I'm going that way, and then I'm just gonna go.
I'm gonna reach out and grab for Hoppy to keep him, because Hoppy pulling Hoppy. Don't want him be lost in our memories again or executed.
So two things happen as you approach the guards. They like take an offensive posture, squaring off to you, and you can hear a like a hushing sound that echoes throughout the chamber, and the guards go like not catatonic, but they just stop staring at everything and just go back to standing 90 degrees to the stairs, creating like it's like human gates just opened. They were like this, and now they're like this, allowing enough space for Hoppy to pass between them and ascend the stairs. Draco, you try to stop him, but as you may have observed in the past, Hoppy's enormous size and, well, let's call it bullishness, like it, unless you're willing to exert some kind of magical force, there's just no physical force you can exert over Hoppy that would even slow him down. You have his wrist in your hands, but like every time he takes a step, you just are kind of dragged along with him.
Right, because I'm a little guy.
Hoppy, you're sort of at the decision point. There's nothing compelling you to go forward, just this very soft, very polite, serene voice asking you to join her so that you can share with her what you've seen and the things that you know.
If she wants to see the scary things, she can see the scary things.
He
Nice.
genuinely seems concerned and wants to see what you have seen.
Okay, I stay at the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, I ain't going up there.
Then I'll go up there, yeah.
Okay. Hoppy gently, serenely takes, 11 steps to go up 11 stairs, which is just... You didn't know he could step that small. And as soon as he's past, the 2 large guards go back to creating a flanking barrier between the regent and the audience chamber. The 2 advisors on either side of her throne bow to Hoppy and take like gentle steps walking backwards to clear like a wide berth for him. And once Hoppy is like 3 steps shy of the regent's chair, she gets close enough to him that there's now no longer a differential in height. She's approximately 3 stone steps shorter than Hoppy. So if he stops 3 steps short, they're basically eye to eye. And she stares at you, Hoppy, like soul-gazingly stares into your eyes. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Well, you're gonna fail that.
Hey!
Okay, you didn't. I was wrong.
That's what started this in the first place.
trying to decide if I want to share what you see with you privately or not.
That's usually more
Uh,
fun.
I mean, he can't
Well,
communicate with
I
us,
can't
so
communicate to them, so
that's
it makes
kind of
sense.
why I'm thinking it's more fun. Yeah. All right, Mark, hop down with me for a second.
damn.
Secrets.
Hey there.
Hey, Mark. She reaches out with her mind. She's been very sweet, very gentle with you so far. She wants to look into your mind to see what you have seen. And at this point, like, it seems like a very fair, very reasonable request. And she, looking through your eyes, you can sort of, like, you can feel her in your mind poking around, looking at your memories. You, unusually so, maybe because she so grossly underestimated you, or maybe just because you've had stuff in your mind a lot recently. There's a moment where for you, like, her seeing your mind is almost a two-way street, and you get glimpses of sort of like memories that aren't yours that you suspect maybe you're seeing a little bit of what is in her mind as she is seeing most of what's in yours.
Okay.
You get the impression that everything that you're showing her in terms of where the bodies are and the giant monster and all this, none of this is news to her. Like, she was expecting to see and hear all of the things that you're sharing with her. And additionally, she seems specifically interested in memories that involve, like, you exuding moments of great strength and resilience, or Draco possessing moments of great insight or magical prowess. In your mind, it seems like an assessment. Like, she's using this opportunity to sort of, assess you guys. It feels more like an interview and less like a conversation. She's looking to see what your strengths, potentially even weaknesses, are in just she's playing the highlight reel of everything you've done since you've come to the Wandering Oasis.
Okay.
You, as a character, I imagine, are a little off-put by that kind of intrusion. It sounded really sweet and very tame initially, but it's now entering into that territory where I suspect Hoppy might feel at least a little uncomfortable. Not necessarily outright, like, punch the bitch and run away, but, like, this is
I
not...
was thinking punch the bitch and run away, but
it's at the very least entered into, this is more than we talked about. This is, I was going to show you a thing, and now you're taking memories that I'm not showing you.
got it.
And as you look at her, you, for a brief moment, like a split flash, like a blink, sort of like when you sneeze, you can see like a blast of color for just a second. Her appearance looks radically different. She seems coiled by tentacles that surround her body, two wrap up from the ground around her legs, making a belt around her midsection, three more around her torso and breasts, wrap down her arms, but there's a large central tentacle that seems to coil around her neck and insert itself in the back of her head. It's just a flash, and in a moment it's gone, and you see her as she appears to your eyes, and everything, it seems normal except for the intrusion in your mind. But just... And there's a moment where she shudders, like maybe she understands that you peeked at something you ought not to have peeked. But for the very first time since you've met her in the last 2 minutes, there's something about her that seems less than sweet, less than genteel. And it's up to you what you want to do now.
Okay. Do you want to go back to the other thing, or do you want me to make a decision before we go?
You can make your decision publicly, because I feel like you won't be able to tell them why you're doing what you're doing, but they would easily be able to see what you're doing, so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go to chat, and I'll make a decision there.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, so I feel like it was probably one of those situations where he's like, oh my god, Draco used something inside his own toolbox? Hell yeah.
Loki song. Loki.
So, hi guys.
Hi.
How are we doing?
Good. Can we understand you?
No, you still can't understand me.
Are
John,
you talking?
I should have asked a question in secrets, and I didn't.
Can you type it in the Whisper GM button, or is it a thing
Yeah.
that you think I can get if you dance around it a little?
No, I'll. I think you told me the answer. Do the.
I'll take my answer off the air. Externally.
Okay. Then I am going to. And do I see that external thing?
You do not, or did not. It was only a flash.
I'm going to grab Lillipillipi and throw her down the stairs.
No, you're not. What the fuck?
Let's take a look at this.
This is not gonna go well for us, my guys.
Oh my gosh! Get her, Hoppy.
And I'm going to try and throw her to her guards.
Oni is going to try to position herself, like try to get up into the guard's business and help him, because Hoppy is her arena dude. They're partners, so if he sees a threat, she's gonna assume that a threat exists.
He threw her to her guards like he's trying to protect her. Hold on.
Hoppy, let's start with you making an athletics check.
Okay.
Chaos.
17. Jeez.
Well, it's a +9, so that's actually a less than average roll.
True.
You pick her up, Hoppy, and as soon as you do, she feels much heavier than you would have guessed for such a slight frame. Certainly not beyond your ability to manhandle, but just like you're a big fella. And
Solid.
you chuck her down the stairs, kind of like not artfully, but forcefully, just kind of maybe picking her up under the armpits and just chuck her.
My jaws dropped.
3/4 of the way down the stairs, she stops falling and just stays floating in midair about a foot off the steps, having not reached the guards nor hit the floor.
Okay. And was she sitting in the chair when we were
Yes.
when we were talking? So then I'm going to attack the chair.
Okay.
And I will do that with knuckle. I'm going to do that with Knuckles of Knocking. And I'm not going to pull a weapon. I'm just going to punch it.
Okay. Let's see an attack roll.
All right. And the Knuckles of Knocking give me turn me into a siege engine. I'm just trying to break the chair.
What'd the chair ever do to you?
You smash into the throne with your enormous fist. The two attendants flee to the back corners of the pedestal that the throne sits upon, and you just start smashing into the stone, fragments flying everywhere. Beneath the might of your very first strike, you send this giant crack all the way up the marble back of it, and shrapnel flies everywhere. As soon as you start destroying it, the guards turn and begin to ascend in response to what they think is an attack on their regent. At this point, because I want to make sure everybody gets a fair chance to do things, let's roll initiative. I'm not saying combat is necessary or unavoidable, but let me go before anybody rolls. Let me reset this for some reason.
Sorry.
You can keep your 20. It just didn't flash old initiatives, and then it did. So we'll add Hoppy.
That's a shitty initiative for me.
That's an amazing one for me.
You're not last.
Actually, I still could be.
All right, Mon, you are nimble, you are quick. To your surprise, Hoppy throws the regent out of the way and begins just pummeling the stone throne. You see the guards turn, draw weapons, and go to intercept him. What would you like to do?
And Lillipillipi is floating. Don't forget.
Yeah. Are the guards moving past the High Regent, going towards Hoppy, or are they just going to assist?
It's
The High
unclear to you because they technically haven't gotten to act yet in this turn, but they're certainly heading in the direction of both the High Regent and Hoppy. You won't really know until it's their turn whether they're going to stop there, creating like a protection perimeter around their regent, or if they intend to like stop Hoppy from destruction of property.
Then I want to go stand in between the Regent and Hoppy.
Do you have a teleportation effect? If not, you will have to run between the guards, which will provoke an attack opportunity should they want to take one. I'm not saying they will, just you open yourself up to that possibility.
Is this so that just so I'm understanding the map is that's like an upper.
Yes, there's.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean like the there's like an upstairs around the outside of this room.
I'm choosing to view it as like the antechamber left and right of the throne room, and the only thing that's elevated is the stairs thermometer bulb.
Okay.
But I had the same problem looking at it. I think just like the upstairs throne room is elevated, everything else is actually the same level. It's just like a small circular room inside of a larger circular room. But I could definitely see it both ways. But for our purposes, that's the antechamber where you could hear guards, rustling about in full arms and armor.
Right. So I can't go around through
No. Yeah, there seems to be only one way up.
Then I will. I don't want them thinking I'm going to attack the High Regent. Then I'm going to ready an action, and I will, if the two guards proceed past the High Regent, I will attack. Whichever one passes the High Regent first with my moonbow.
Hoppy.
Is damaging the chair? Is it making any? Is there any response to it? It's
I'm just cracking. Breaking the chair. There's stone shattering everywhere. Another strike would probably crack it in half along this sort of like a vertical seam that you've created, a small fissure. Another strike of that magnitude will likely split it into left half of chair and right half of chair. The foundation itself is pretty solid. It seems to have been either built into the actual sandstone of this room, or it's on such a massive stone rectangle that it might as well be part of the superstructure.
Okay.
So like beating it out of the ground will take much more time, but breaking it is next turn for sure.
Okay.
This turn.
I wonder. I want to get my blacklight torch out and see if I can, because that. Oh, wait, does that allow me to see invisible or just?
It gave you advantage on perception checks to see things that were deliberately hidden, and it highlights anything that was hidden by the Syndicate, who seemed to utilize some kind of magic coding.
I feel like the blacklight torch helped me find stuff downstairs.
It did. That was a weird reaction.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull it out and just see if the chair or anything around it responds to it. And then I'm gonna keep. Go ahead.
Sure. Anybody who can see Hoppy's position, Hoppy takes out the dark light torch, and in the wash of its purple glow, elements of the chair begin to writhe and come to life, looking like a mass of tentacles. And all of the pieces of stone that have landed everywhere instead look like recurved, serrated teeth.
Okay, so it's like the statues downstairs.
It was just like the statues downstairs.
No, that's another thing.
Do the guards see it?
Anybody who can draw a line of sight to Hoppy and has basic vision can see the stone reacting under the dark torch.
Then I am going to keep pummeling it, and I'm going to use. I'll go ahead and pull out my. Are they going to? Are they going to react to me pulling out my weapon?
Hard to know. I mean, you've done guard duty before. If someone drew a weapon anywhere near your protectee, how would you take it?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that I'm just going to use the Knuckles of Knocking, and I'm going to use all three or the two remaining charges to put a hole in the chair. So that's Knuckles of Knocking. Shouldn't be -4. It's hitting it 13.
I really just need damage. You're not going to miss the throne.
Okay.
But I know that those are probably connected.
Yeah. 29 damage.
Wow. Jeez.
You sunder in like the literal biblical sense the throne. It shatters into dozens of pieces. Everywhere that fragments of the stone land, they are either like bits of writhing, squirmy tentacle, or some of those like they look sort of like recurved, serrated, like goblin shark teeth. The whole chair is now completely fragmented. You've split it down sort of a lateral seam. Left half completely collapses, the right half goes slightly askew. You're able to sort of like pick it out, prying it loose like a loose tooth, and just chuck it aside. There's a small crater left in the vacancy of your fury. There's nothing here anymore that anybody could call a throne.
Damn, buddy.
I can punch it a couple more times if that, or at least one more time this turn. Will that do anything?
It will continue to shatter it into smaller and smaller pieces. I can't reveal whether or not that will have a meaningful impact.
Okay. So that FYI, that damage should have been doubled because I did the Knuckles of Knocking. And I'm gonna, I'm just gonna take the biggest bit that I can find of the chair and punch it again. And I don't, because I'm not using a weapon, it's not doing a lot of damage. So, can I pick up a rock or a piece of the chair and start bashing another piece of the chair with it?
Sure. If all you're looking for is destructive potential, I don't mind even eschewing a damage roll in favor of just a strength check.
Okay.
To measure the magnitude of your rage fueled destruction.
Yeah. and I guess I could rage.
Yeah, we are in the throes of full-blown Hoppy Smash. You continue to pulverize. Every time you smash it into two pieces, you find the biggest of the two pieces and smash that into two smaller pieces. Just fervently, furiously destroying it into powder in some cases. You can see the look of confusion on some of your traveling companions' faces. Like, they've got your back, but they have no idea why you hated that chair so much. But very clearly you did. It is, powder. There are moments where, like, your fists are bloody until you glimpse them under the light of the dark light torch, in which case it looks more like your hands are covered in, like, squid ink.
Okay, that's all I got for my
Can we
turn.
see the squid ink? Can we see that it's like tentacles?
Yeah, everything that I've described, you missed a session. The statues downstairs had stone archways that were carved out of sandstone that, in the light of the dark torch, came not alive, but like writhed and moved, taking amorphous tentacle-like shapes while bathed in the light of the dark light torch, revealing some kind of otherworldly quality to them.
Okay.
And yeah, the same thing happens with this chair. And anybody who can draw like a line of sight to the throne room or Hoppy can see this. It's not no special vision is required, just the ability to see it.
Are there more statues in this room?
There are, but they are not, or seemingly haven't reacted to the dark light torch. So yes, but not the fun kind.
Okay.
It is Renan's turn. Hoppy just smashed to pieces the throne room. He's still like, deep heave breathing and just pummeling smaller and smaller pieces of stone. You've seen him in the fits of a rage before. This is not new, but it is weird.
Lillipillipi is currently floating?
She is hovering just a few inches above the steps.
And does it physically appear like it's her choice to float, or something is making her float?
No, yeah, that's a good question. The grace that she's choosing to pose in looks like it was a spell or a natural ability. She's definitely either benefiting or controlling that effect. It seems to definitely be her choice.
I'll be right back.
Okay. And I'll be like, well, if you can hear me, you pissed our brother off. I'm gonna look at Oni and be like, clearly, this bitch is in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say to the guards, I'm gonna be like, if you can hear me, we don't want to harm you, but I believe that your leader is being controlled by something otherworldly that is making her not her own. And if you allow us, we can help her. I don't even know if these are intelligent creatures.
The
regular
red
security
squads
guard.
specifically have not been terribly bright.
Okay, well, I still
they are the
said
ones
that.
you snuck past in broad daylight with a
Right.
what's that over there?
The ones that I did the very large coin. Here you go. Wait, no, that wasn't them.
Like absolute units of death machines, but not thinkers.
Okay, so do they even react to anything I'm saying, or no?
They react in the sense that they understand what your words, like they understand you, but it doesn't seem to persuade them to do anything other than protect the regent, which is their job. They don't know you from Adam.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at Omi and say, smash?
Or pass.
And I'm just gonna shrug and say, I'm not sure what to target.
Well, clearly Hoppy's got the chair.
I know.
I'll look at Amon. Thoughts? What do you guys want me to do? I can attack, or I can let Hoppy continue to kill the chair.
Let's let Hoppy kill the chair. I think we should check with the regent and see if she is.
She look distressed at all, or?
Yeah.
No.
or-
Her lips
She's
are
clear.
curling slightly upward into a wicked smile.
Yeah, she's a bitch, guys. I don't trust her. This is all her doing. She's clearly part of the tentacle people. Yeah,
Must be
I guess I'll just speak to her directly and be like, did you really think that you were going to get away with this forever? Just murdering innocent people? Their loved ones, forgetting them forever? This is not something that Alea's flame will allow.
Draco, dispel magic. That's the answer for everything, right?
It seems to be. She just looks at you, Renan, at your accusatory tone. Her body turns in space to face you,
Like that at all.
and you can sort of hear in your mind's ear a soft, gentle, coaxing, very friendly, very charming, feminine voice
That doesn't work with me.
that tells you that you are not the voice of piety. I know you've killed people. I know you've destroyed lives to achieve your ends.
And I'll do it again.
The
I
voice-
kill those that kill others. That's
Nice.
you.
The voice leaves your mind as the figure rotates in space, turning its back to you, almost like it could not give a fuck less about you. And you can hear just the haunting word of,
Shoot her in the back of the head.
I'm sure you will try.
I'm going to shoot an arrow straight at her.
Okay.
She's pissed me off.
Yeah! Yeah!
Motherfucker.
Atta
I
girl.
love this game. Oh, but a 5? That can't be good.
For her.
I gotta open up my document.
I'm so excited. This is the best way to start this. You could like try to out bitch me, but like it's not gonna work. I wish these people would just know who I am
I've
already.
stepped into ultimate bitch. Okay, so 5 says...
I win everything.
It
Great.
does, that's what it says. That's weird. You must memorize the table. You feel it is imperative to press the advantage no matter the cost. You can choose to gain advantage on all attacks against this target for the next turn. Your target has advantage on their attack rolls made against you until the end of the next turn. So if you want to, but I feel like for you that may not be as good, what I would offer as a trade, since that one's kind of meh for someone who can give herself advantage, is that we can do that sort of momentum swing of this attack will so disorient her that you can grant advantage to the next friendly that attacks her.
Perfect. I like that one.
Okay. Give me a moment to calculate this damage here.
So Draco, I'm helping you out, bud. I'm giving you advantage. Don't fuck it up.
The shot at her head, intended to obviously be a kill shot, no punches pulled, hits her right where the gold tattooing on her forehead is, and she reels backwards in pain. There's a flash of purple, like just a sharp, sort of like a firework flash of brilliant, deep purple, deep bluish kind of color that fills the room for a minute, almost like, like the benthic layer of the ocean where there's just so little light, all you can really see is darkness. She drops from her floating position to her hands and knees on the stone, bleeding from the wound that you've inflicted. And for a moment, you can hear like a chortling gurgle, not unlike the way you've heard the Kuatoans speak before when they're not in water or don't have one of those, aqueous rebreathers so that they can speak through a fluid medium. It sounds like a person who's having a hard time breathing, or it sounds someone like blowing bubbles under a bathtub. It sounds panicked, and you can see tears in her eyes. And then in a moment, all of that is gone. Her face becomes completely emotionless, and the wound that you inflicted starts to heal.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay.
Well, she is dazed for this turn, though, and will take no action, as that is a fuck ton of hit points. Draco, it's your turn. The guards now are staying put, trying to protect her from the advancing enemy forces that they now perceive you as. Beyond the 2 red slots, you can see she's basically sort of like laying like a puddle on that first landing of the staircase, grasping her head and just kind of like putting herself back together. There was this moment of intense vulnerability where she both seemed lost and disoriented and in pain, and then just back to Stonewall bitch face.
Okay.
I'd also just like to shout, it is possible that something is controlling her and maybe I shouldn't have shot her in the head. Oh, well.
Headshot. 1 shot, 1 kill.
All right. Well, first off, I will summon my fire dude because I know he's out right here right now, but he hasn't been. So cast him. That basically gets my turn.
Okay.
Actually, no. I cast
Fire guy
him.
gets to
Then
take an action, right?
he goes ahead and does his infamous flame seed.
Is he
With
using
advantage.
the advantage? Mhm.
We'll do, let's see, advantage.
Six fire damage.
I know, it's impressive.
It was hard
Hey,
to get a
it's
bead
something.
past the slod guards.
Yeah.
You scorch her rubbery skin, but there's like no human reaction to that. This is like
Hey,
you know,
she
watching
clearly
someone
got
put a cigarette out on the T800. Just
Yeah.
that should hurt more. Uh-oh. Oni, I believe it's your turn.
It is my turn. With my remarkable athleticism, even though I know that they're going to get attacks of opportunity, I am going to zip myself in between the 2 slots and try to get on this side of Lillipillipi.
Okay. The feat of strength is accomplishable easily by you, especially since you are willing to take the attacks opportunity.
Mhm.
I will make 2 claw attacks then. 23 hits, 15 misses, I think.
Mhm.
10 points of piercing, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Ooh, jeez.
Yeah, that I have to check, but that seems like it's gonna be good.
Is it past 14? Wait, let me check. Yeah. No, you're
Is
good.
it literally double the target DC? Yep. All right, Oni, you push past the guards, sort of just, thrusting them out of the way to position yourself behind the High Regent. That's your movement. You have an action remaining if you want it.
Oh, I want it. All right,
Oh,
let's
she
see what
wants
kind
it.
of damage God Touch Weapons does.
That's a hit. Actually, technically, she's laying kind of pronated. I think I would rule you'd probably have advantage. She's, just getting into like a seated upright position, so she's technically prone.
Okay,
She's not on her feet.
so we'll go.
So the first
22
attack
for the
is 13.
first.
23, it's getting better. 15. And double 29s. 43 damage.
Was there any reaction to her? Did her stony demeanor change? Did I see that same flash that Renan saw?
You did not. You splice away at her. The second strike, she puts her hand up like defensively, and you cut deeply through the palm of her hand into her chest, down her waist. The blood flows normally, and there's no no visual feedback from her at all. Like there's no scream or no reactive thing. But after your final strike, you can see a lone tear just stream down her right cheek.
We probably should stop killing her.
I think we should stop
Plan
killing her.
to kill her. What is controlling you? Why are you resisting us? And what are you
I
hiding?
think I
Stop
would resist
resisting me!
Stop resisting! Oni's a cop. Your questions are met only with a thought, Oni. Your mind feels invaded, like it has before by those tentacled creatures that referred to themselves as Atuya,
Mhm.
and you get an image that you feel like it feels like a memory, but it's entirely manufactured, and that it's not something you've ever experienced. You can see a deep well. That's the sort of vibe you get, is like this deep hole in the earth somewhere where there's water, and you're dropped into it, and the entire pool of water, for as far as you can see, which is limited because of its darkness, begins to writhe and coil around you like some massive serpentine monster is the water itself. And that's when you see a giant maw of crooked, bent teeth swallow you whole. And you can't tell whether that's like her prognosticating the future, her issuing you a threat, her showing you what's about to happen to you. It does serve to be unnerving and unsettling.
I'm just going to shout out a warning to my team to keep your wits about you. This one's using mind games. And pass turn.
The red slods realize that they are having to defend their protectorate on multiple fronts, and looking at each other, I go front, you go back, and they both nod at the same time to the simplicity of that instruction. One goes front, one goes back. Amon, one of the slots, even though you haven't taken any necessarily aggressive action, moves towards you.
I do have my delayed action.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
too.
like, maybe we resolve that first.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. Yeah, take your action first against the slot on the stairs, since he moved.
Almost done.
Almost done.
Almost
Oh,
done.
buddy.
Oh,
Daddy.
Mm.
I see 21.
Yeah. Let's see.
Nice.
Can we see
Oh.
hit bars?
Oh, I'm sorry. You will not on Lillipillipi, but I can fix the other two for sure. Are you almost done yet? Sounds like somebody's got shit to do. All right, their turn. Amon, you get attacked. 2 bites and a claw. Uh-oh. 9, or the 21 hits, I assume, for 9. The crit hits for 17. That's 26 damage, and the 14, I'm pretty sure, misses. But let me see what I roll here. Ooh, that's not good.
If you're a scaly bastard, you fall down the stairs and die.
Son of a bitch, you guys are reading. You memorized this table. The target is knocked prone. My attack knocks my target over. Amon, you are knocked prone on your ass.
Bowling for Amon.
Oni, same thing. Bite, bite, claw. Miss, miss. And claw's not coming up. There it goes. Hit with a claw again.
Okay.
I see 9 points of piercing, and I need a Constitution saving throw.
John, did you take my damage, or do I need to do that?
I can do it if you've got.
Hands full.
Yes, that's a good way.
I have a couple handfuls. Ouch.
And at the top of the stairs, one of the advisors steps forward in like an unusual act of bravery. This dude steps towards you, Hoppy. You notice that his eyes have rolled backwards in his head, and around the circles, like around the orbital sockets of his skull, weird black etching is starting to like grow forth from his eye sockets.
No, thank you.
But he puts his hand out, and a serpentine coil of water begins to wrap around you. Sorry, my button just disappeared. Slightly anticlimactic.
Button.
Button, please.
Button.
All right. Well, you don't get to read it. I just need you to make a Wisdom saving throw as you are being affected by the Hold Person spell. They don't have a specific Hold Minotaur. The coils of snake-like water wrap around you and begin to cinch you tight. But at this point, you're so like incensed by what you saw and what's happening, you just kind of like flex, just make yourself wide with muscle, and the water just breaks free and falls to the ground in various puddles. You are unaffected.
That's about right.
It is now Amon's turn at the start of round 2 or 3. I think this is only 2.
2.
Yeah, only 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's our first round of right there.
And I am prone, I believe.
That is
Yep.
correct.
So it takes my action to stand up?
Just half of your movement speed.
Half of my movement speed, okay. And I will stand up. And... Ooh. This is where Amon has trouble. Because I'm now in melee with this guy, and I use my bow. So I'm just going to daintily set my bow on the ground and pull out my sword.
Gently.
Hey everyone, don't let me... Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
I mean, bad for you, but maybe thematically appropriate.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
I
don't-
can't
just
be
died, I
good.
think.
I don't think I've
I
ever
think I
seen
just
that
died.
before.
I've
Oh.
definitely never seen that.
Jesus.
Don't make that sound, John.
Um,
God.
We'll see how this plays out. I, as the DM, retain my right to reverse this decision if this goes horribly wrong. You lose your footing while attacking and slam your head on the ground. Your character falls prone, takes 4d6 of bludgeoning damage, and is rendered
Oh
unconscious
my
for a minute,
God.
or until they receive damage from any source.
Oh no!
He said he's not very good with melee.
So
Wow.
I don't like the idea of this happening, of a fall taking you to 0. So the fall is going to take you to 1,
Ugh.
and you are unconscious as
Draco,
you
heal
slip.
him! Heal him!
You slip on on your own blood, basically, fall backwards and crack
Yes.
your head on the marble floor.
Have fire,
Yeah,
guys!
stand up,
Take him
stand
away!
up, try to pull out my sword, and just immediately fall on my face.
I'm getting a pretty clear message here.
Oh no!
Oh, that's a bummer. All right, Amon, your turn is over as you are unconscious. Hoppy, you can hear the banana whoop, 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 whoop sound effect from behind you in the gallery. This weird guy who's got some kind of eye trauma and isn't seeing you with his eyes anymore just tried to hold person you to no effect. What would you like to do? Below you on the stairs, you can see Oni engaging with one of the slawed bodyguards.
Do I still have the blue light special out? Do I see anything around this dude over here?
The one that's right in front of you, or the one that's
Yeah.
covering?
The one in front of me.
Yeah, his eyes are like rolled backwards in his head, but in the white milk that should just be plain, you instead see, as gross as it sounds, they look like little octopi suction cups that wink at you.
I'm not into this at all.
Gross.
Is the chair
That's
dead?
the bad guy right there.
The chair is in so many pieces. I think anyone would struggle to call it a throne anymore. They would, this would be the area of rubble, the throne
Okay.
hole, but there is no chair anymore.
Okay. In that case, I will find something else to focus my rage on. And since I'm right next to this dude over here, I'm gonna go ahead and no. Can I see what's going on with
He just
Aemon.
attacked you with tentacles. Water.
Actually, something has just occurred to me.
What?
One moment, please. I have to look at something in Mark's character sheet.
Thing has just occurred to me.
Uh,
What?
uh,
That could be
They're
very
You're doing
good
this
for us
all
or
wrong.
very
You're not
bad.
supposed to be here right
Yeah.
now.
You're like, oh nope. You know what it says here? He's
Our
dead.
dream.
Hoppy, I would like for you to make a perception roll before you decide to do anything else.
Okay. Perception.
Hey!
I think he sees it.
You have utterly demolished the throne room, bashed it to bits, kicked chunks through the wall, taken other parts, broken it over your knee. You are a one-man demolition crew. You turn to defend your friends as you often do, move on to the next thing that needs smashing. That's your modus operandi. As you go to turn from the throne that you've now destroyed, you can't help but at the corner of your eye, in the floor below the chair's, like what would have been its right front foot, you see what looks like a spring-loaded mechanical plate, a mechanism of some sort that likely would have been built into the upright right armrest of the throne. Even with the 26, you don't have the skill set to necessarily instantly identify what that is, but something was built into that throne, some kind of lever or button, perhaps, a mechanism of some size, shape, or variety. You can see now the inner workings of it since you destroyed the throne that was, like, obfuscating it, but it's now just whatever's left of it is plain to see.
Push the button.
Okay.
Push the button.
Should I push the button?
Nothing has ever gone wrong
Yes.
by pushing the button.
Well, I don't think Hoppy, in his rage, would care about the button, and so I was thinking that he was going to go down and protect, probably attack Green on the way through Amon, or attack this guy.
I think you'd attack that guy because he's the one that just attacked you with water.
Yeah, but Hoppy doesn't really care about being attacked. He's used to it. He's more
Kind of a sad story.
well.
He just shakes it
I
off.
mean, he was a
He's a big.
yeah. I mean, he's
Peace with
a barbarian. he he's more worried about his friends getting hurt, especially since they're so dumb they can't understand him anymore. So
He's got to protect
I
us
was-
all.
yeah, I mean, until you guys figure out how to talk again, I don't understand what else we can do.
Hoppy, I tried to type this to you, but Roll20's having a hiccup, and so I'm just going to try to tell you without telling you, because you will know more than the other players, but that visual aesthetic that you saw in that flash before, and the way that you saw the Regent, there is an element of what you saw that you can now see with that high perception. You had this moment of visual clarity.
So there's a connection there.
Yes, the mechanism in the throne definitely has a connection to the visual aesthetic that you saw on the Regent, and the source of it seems to be coming from somewhere directly below where Renan and Draco are. When Draco cast that dispel magic, I just lost everything.
Oh,
Mean.
still have comms.
Yeah.
Can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Oh, weird. Like all of my boxes just disappeared. Roll20 is a white screen
Oh.
that has like the framework of a scene and no
Oh, no.
video boxes. All right, well, whatever. I don't need that for right now.
Yeah.
That
So-
visual aesthetic we talked about seems to be coming from somewhere below, like right where they're standing.
Okay. And the button that I found, is it does it seem to have the same aesthetic? Is it something
Yeah, like-
related?
Ghostly and faint, not unlike the magical aura that Draco described on the plinth, like associated with rather than source of that kind of stuff. Like sort of like if somebody had muddy hands and they touched a door, you can kind of see that fingerprint left behind.
Got it. I'm gonna press the button, and then is that a action or is that?
That's so slight. We'll call it an interaction. Which
Okay.
everybody gets like one of for free. Interact with the
Okay.
environment.
I'm gonna press the button.
Okay. I did I guess I have to accept that was a possibility. However, as Hoppy presses the mechanical lever's pressure plate in the remnants of the throne, you guys can hear two large metal bolts disengage, chunk, and the ground beneath Oni, or beneath Renan and Draco, and unfortunately Amon, starts to tremble and then just falls out beneath you, giving way to a vast empty shaft that looks like the interior of a well. This entire
Sorry,
circular
guys.
area here just opens up.
That's okay. Some fancy teleporting can happen with those people.
Yep, I would offer Renan and Draco a dexterity saving throw to try to leap for the edges and not fall in. However, Mon is unconscious.
I'm going to the Starlock Pit.
Oh no!
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What is your dexterity?
Yes, please.
Nice.
Actually, I guess this is more like the Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah, very Rancor pit vibes. Unfortunately, the mechanism is struck. The doors open, splash, dropping everybody in. Renan, you barely, with as much agility and speed as you can summon, leap for the edge of the room and manage to grab the lip, still sort of dangling legs, into the hole. The enormous red slod just takes a hop back onto the stairs, almost like, maybe he's seen this happen once or twice before, so knew what to expect. Draco, unfortunately, the ground just disappears beneath you. You do a little bit like Wile E. Coyote trying to run in space, and then gravity takes you, and you and Amon both start to begin your fall into the inky blackness below.
And I can do nothing because I'm saving myself like a selfish human.
Like a selfish human, indeed. That was the Hoppy. I think technically you still have an action this turn if you'd like to take an action.
Can I move?
You can, sure.
Okay. I'm going to.
Daddy.
Well, now it's 2 on lots, so.
3 on
lots.
I'm gonna come.
We might need to take a quick couple minutes. John lost internet, so we have to restart the router. But we haven't taken a break yet, so now's a good time to do that.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Okay.